And now if you want a bit of extension or a bit of a challenge, you can try and derive the quadratic formula by completing the square. Let's use our general formula for a quadratic equation. So if we had ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, so we could complete the square on this, and hopefully we should get out at the end the quadratic formula. So the first thing I'd do here is divide both sides by a to get it into something that has a coefficient of x squared of 1. So we could have x squared plus b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. So we've just divided through by a. Then we could apply our technique for completing the square. So we have x plus this coefficient here divided by 2, so b over 2a all squared, minus the constant we don't want, which is going to be b squared over 4a squared, and then plus this constant here, which is going to be c over a, is equal to 0. So before we simplified this here, we can move it to the other side, so we'd get x plus b over 2a all squared is going to be b squared over 4a squared, so that comes from adding b squared over 4a squared to both sides, and then minus our c over a, to take this c over a here from the left to the right. And if we simplify that expression on the right then, well, we want two fractions with a denominator of 4a squared, don't we? So we'd have b squared over 4a squared, and to get c over a with a denominator of 4a squared, we can multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4a. So that would give us 4ac over 4a squared. And you should start to see this looking a little bit like the quadratic formula. So we could rewrite this quickly as b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. And then our next step would be to square root both sides. So we could have x plus b over 2a, and then we could square root this entire thing on the right. And remember, of course, we still need our plus or minus in front of the square root. So then we get x plus b over 2a, and we could simplify this square root a bit, couldn't we? So remembering our rules of surds, we could apply the square root to the top and the bottom of the fraction individually. So we'd get the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and you should be able to see that the square root of 4a squared is 2a. So then if we now take this b over 2a to the other side, so we'd get x is equal to minus b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And if we take everything over 2a, so we'd be left with minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a would give you x. And as you can see there, we're now left with the quadratic formula.